Hello, somebodies. Welcome to the channel. Come on in. Make yourselves at home. But take off your shoes. No bare feet around here in this channel. And dang it, put some disposable footies on. Thank you. Now, with me is my co-host. He's sometimes imitated, but never duplicated. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Michael B. Jordan.
What's up?
He's Homer Simpson's middle name. Here's Jay.
What's up, everybody?
So, you're here for the marriage pros. And what makes us pros? We'll tell you what. We have slept with the enemy time and time again. We have had our finger on the red button. Yet, somehow, we always find ourselves back with diplomacy to prevent World War III. On today's show, we are going to talk about the 5 love languages. So, for all you somebodies that are asking, 5 love languages? What the hell is that? And I understand, I am a guy. Before I was married, I had no idea what this was about. So, let's get into a quick description of each one. And full disclosure, I did not memorize all this. I'm going to read off a page, okay? If you can memorize it all, but hey, more power to you. I know somebody's wife that probably memorized this as well, but I'm going to read. So here we go. The first love language is words of affirmation. What does that mean? It means you value a verbal acknowledgement and affection. So whenever you talk to your partner and you're nice and kind to them. So unfortunately, a lot of us don't do that. We need to work on that, that's for sure. The second one, quality time, which I think Jay is about. And it's pretty self-explanatory there when the partner actively wants to spend time and hang out. That sounds nice, doesn't it? Now the third one, acts of service. Not that kind of service, okay? We're not talking about that, guys. Get your head out of there. It is when the partner goes out of their way to make your life easier. I know that still fits, guys, but come on. Let's keep it down. Now, the fourth one, gifts. This is pretty much straightforward, everyone. Gifts. But the symbolic thought behind the item. That's what we're looking for. If there's something that you needed, and they give it to you. Symbolism. And number 5, physical touch. Now, I'm pretty sure I felt and heard all the guys perk up a little bit on this one. It's feeling loved when the partner receives physical signs of affection. So now everybody's paying attention. Very good. It seems from talking with my co-host that this topic is kind of near and dear to his heart. I'm sure he practices some of them on the daily, which makes the rest of us not look so great, but nonetheless, we got to live life, and he wants a happy marriage. So, Jay, essentially, how did you hear about this book?
Well, the first time I've heard about the book was watching a spin-off of the show Married at First Sight. So they took 2 people who marriages did not work out, and the woman who was cast on the spin-off, one of the guys she was speaking to, she said, "Have you read this book called The 5 Love Languages?" I was like, "What is that? I've never heard of it." Speaking to my wife last night, I was trying to ask her, "Did you hear about the book on the show like I did, or did you know about it prior to?" She said, "Oh no, I know about it prior to." I said, "Oh, I did not know that. I thought she found out on the show like I did." But apparently, that's part of her field. So I was like, "Okay, interesting." So I asked her, "Would you recommend the book to someone, or have them read it, or take the test, or whatever?" She said, "If they don't want to read the book, take the test." So I was like, "Oh, okay." So she did the test for herself, did it for me. And this helped our relationship out as far as I thought the physical touch, like this, that's the way I show love. So it doesn't mean she has to touch me. It's more me about touching her. That's how I showed my love. And I didn't know that's not what she wanted. So I was like, okay. Her love language is acts of service. And she likes a words of affirmation. So mine is more, we went back and forth about this one because I feel my number 1 is physical touch. I argued that tooth and nail. And she was like, no, your score was quality time. And the past few days I was thinking about it, I was like, damn it, she's right. It is quality time. Because I always catch myself asking her, oh, what are we doing today? Are we doing anything? That can mean one or two things for me. So, but usually it's watching TV or watching a movie. Yes, the other one can come into play, but usually it's about watching TV or watching a movie, just hanging out. What about you? How did you hear about the book?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Jay, because the way I heard about the book was not such a fairy tale way. There are times when relationships and marriages go through a rough spot, and when both parties just can't really find any compromise, any middle ground. You need to bring in a referee. So, the missus and I, we went to a marriage counselor, or whatever they're called now, therapist, whatever looks great for their title. And we decided, hey, okay, let's try to work this out. Because obviously we're two grown adults and we still can't figure things out for ourselves. So, kind of go back to child status. So, essentially, we get past the first session, and the therapist recommends, hey, I have this book, The Five Love Languages. And my wife and I, that's probably the first time we agreed on something for a while. We looked at her like, what? You're going to pawn off a book to us? You want a commission? But we took it home, we read it, and ultimately, I think it was similar with you and me, Jay, that my love language, I'm a guy, I like to feel touched. Anyway, but just like you as well, I found out that is not my wife's love language. At that point, I think it turns out it was acts of service. I had to prove myself, I had to do things. Instead of just saying, I love you, or this kind of stuff. Hey, prove it. So that was her love language, and I got my love language, but after 13 years of marriage, I kind of have swayed to your end as well. It's quality time. I'm I'm going to say something that probably most guys that are watching I'm not going to agree with. I'm not sexed out, but I don't put the focus on that anymore because at this point you get that done, and then you're still left with your spouse. You got to hang out. So now it's about quality time. Was that quality time? Sure, 2 minutes is fine. But ultimately, you're going to spend time with her. You are going to hang out with her. But again, Jay, I mean, we both know about the book. So where do we go from here?
See, but that's the thing. I feel after taking the test and actually understanding her love language, that helped out our relationship a lot more than I thought it would. So now I'm understanding what she likes, how she wants to be loved. And just recently, she sent me a little video on Facebook about a guy cleaning the house, and I think it was titled like him flirting with his wife. And then she's getting turned on at the end of the video. He gets some. So I'm like, I just cleaned the kitchen not too long ago, and I'm like, I didn't get what that other guy got. I'm like, what's up with that? She laughed, rolled her eyes, of course. I was like, he got some at the end. What do I get for cleaning? Even though I didn't do it for that, we just needed to clean the kitchen. I was like, I need to get this done. But I was like, yeah, send me those type of videos, and then I expect something else to happen after that.
No, I think
What about you?
definitely there should be somewhere, unwritten guidelines and rules if we're all going to be performing the same acts of service. And this should be known to women as well because they're going to find out your business anyway. Come on, let's just throw it out there. It should be said, okay, he did this, there could be this reward. Now, again, I'm kind of speaking in women terms because you have to put there could be. There's no guarantees, so they just have to throw it out there. This is the fine print. But I agree with you, Jay. If you're going to hear that somebody else did the same thing for you and got a reward, why can't we all just bask in that reward? Now, essentially, I'm thinking like a guy's, well, okay, I need to go over there, do the same acts of service, and maybe I'll get a reward over there. Although, granted, it'll probably be the last action you have for a successful marriage, and then you move on to the other side of the marriage, which is the D word. But yeah, I think you're right on that, Jay.
So me, myself, I'm not a reader. I hate to read. My wife loves it. So I'm sure she read the book. Me, I'm like, just give me the test. I'll take the test. But if you're not sure about how to love your spouse or how they should love you, I would advise to take the test. Nothing. What can you lose, really? What about you? What do you think?
Well, I don't like to read either. I always love when a book goes to movie. I'll watch something. I don't even care if the writer doesn't like the depiction. I mean, there's been stories that the movie The Shining, the writer of that didn't like it. But nonetheless, it's a book to movie. I'm not going to read. I fall asleep to reading. It just does that. Even if it's audible, I fall asleep. Or I could. And I'm a driver, so that's not good for me. But, look. My wife and I read it, and we both had the same feeling. Man, this is what our marriage has reached, to where somebody feels that we're going to find the answers in a book. And we're like, okay, we will read it just to say that we read it. And then we just looked at each other and said, we're not going back, okay? We got it. We have an issue. We're going to take care of it ourselves. And for me, I would not recommend the book, but that's just me, because my wife and I think that just brought us together to some common ground that, all right, we're not about this book, but we're about ourselves. So the book did bring us together, I guess you could say, in a negative, positive way. I mean, I don't know how you want to spin that. The book helped, and it burned nicely at the end of the day, so that's how we ended the relationship with the 5 love languages. And whether you want to hear that or not, therapists, sometimes you just can't throw a book at us, because she did charge us. That's essentially what didn't really give us a good taste in our mouth. I mean, if you would have just loaned it out to us like a library, sure, we would have brought it back, probably on time. But no, don't charge us for something that we didn't want. We wanted your advice. We wanted you to be a referee, as we were going to tell you our problems. But you went the other way. I do not recommend it. Now, ultimately, Jay, we've been talking about our love languages, but there is another person involved. So, would you happen to know what the little missus thinks about the 5 love languages? And what is hers?
Hers is acts of service. So just helping her out clean out around the house. That's what she would prefer, because she cleans out a certain part of the house. Like, she'll do upstairs, I'll do downstairs. She normally cleans the bathrooms. We have 3, so she'll clean all 3.
Nice.
That's more of like, I cleaned it one way and she didn't like it, so I just like, okay, she has her she has her method, so I let her do that. The way I clean it, she likes to get in there and put the liquid in there and brush. I'm like, I clean the outside and I call it a day. I don't do all the extra stuff. I'm like, if it breaks, I'll replace it and fix it. That's my job. But as far as everything else, like, she'll clean upstairs, I'll clean downstairs. I'm like, I'll help out where I can. Like, where do you need help? I'll go ahead and help. But hers is acts of service. So if I can help clean the house and make life easier for her, she's happy. Gifts, I don't even mess with gifts anymore. I used to buy her stuff. She never likes it. She never uses it. So I was like, I can't do it no more. It's like, I brought her a few things that she said she wanted, and they're just collecting dust. So that's that.
No, you were definitely preaching to the choir on gifts. The only gifts I give her now are the ones that she wants, that she puts on my Amazon list without me knowing. One time, she didn't tell me I was going to purchase something, and I didn't look that she had 3 other things on there. I just went to proceed to checkout. And then when I finally proceeded, well, guess what? My bill was about over $100, and I'm like, what the heck just happened here? But that's a different story altogether, maybe a different topic. Now, getting back to the actual question here, what is my wife's love language? I think it's still acts of, what is it called again?
Acts of service?
Yeah, acts of service. There we go. Now, in getting to the cleaning, I actually do clean the way it seems your wife does. I get really thorough in it. Only because I grew up that way. In the apartments I always had, it was me or my mom. And generally my mom would work. So I felt, okay, this is the least I could do. And she taught me how to do it. So that's how I was brought up. My wife is not a cleaner, okay? I get home and there's a lot of stuff to do, but I'm not allowed to do it. Because then it's like, okay, you're infringing on my area. I will get to it when I get to it. But by her definition, it's never. So essentially, I do what I can, but acts of service, kind of, I think it's leaning more towards the words of affirmation nowadays. She just wants to hear it. I think after so long being married, it's nice to still hear that you feel about the same way as when you met, before you popped the question, before you knocked her up, things like that. So I think it goes hand in hand, still somewhat acts of service, more tell me you love me, tell me you still want me, and things of that nature. So I think all of us can kind of relate to that, Jay, that it may have shifted. It seemed like with the misses on your end, it has not shifted. It's still the same thing. But I'm telling you, Jay, you really get into the nitty gritty when cleaning. You'll feel a lot better about it that way. But I understand one thing. You're gonna have to probably mimic her, because yes, they do like it one way. And you'll never get it that way. Even if you do it damn near the same way, they will still see something. And you know why? Because in their head, they can't think that somebody could do it just as good as them, even worse, if you did it better than them. So I understand that fully. I'm sure all of us, leave it in the comments. Don't leave us hanging, everybody. Men, women, whatever. Just put it. You know what we're talking about. We can't do it the right way ever, even if we do. So, Jay, that's what we're talking about. 5 love languages. So bring it home. And would you recommend this book again? Or with the misses? So what's going down?
Well, if you're a reader, I would recommend the book. I personally do not read, so I'm lazy. I'll be like, okay, let's take the test. Let's see where we're at from there, and take it from there. Because I'm not a reader, but taking the test at least, I'll say your money would be worth it for that alone. But probably they have it online. I have not checked, but you'll probably find the test or quiz online. But if you did that and you were not sure if you were loving your spouse the right way or vice versa, that would be a good indicator. It helped me out a great deal.
Well, definitely, and I'm glad it helped you out, but there's 2 different contrasts. I already let you know how the missus and I felt about it as we chipped away at it. It does burn nice, though. It does get a good smell. So, with that said, that is the end of our show. And as always, if you don't want to see us, and I kind of get it, and maybe not, it's a little insulting actually now that I think about it, but we are available on Spotify. Now, Jay, do you have any wisdom about, just in general, with all the couples out there, even if you're not married, but we're trying to sway our statistics here, come on, married couples, you're thinking about it, popping that question, what do you feel is ultimately the love language that you feel from your experience would really help all these people, all these somebodies that are watching?
The one I would pick is quality time. Because the more you get to know someone, the more you know what you want, what you don't want. And it'll also be for if you have any kind of deal breakers, because that's a big deal. A lot of people, they get married but don't get married for the right reasons, and then once they get married, they're like, oh, I don't like this, that, and the other, and then they get divorced. And like, so what was the reason for getting married? So follow your instinct, follow your gut instinct. You know if if that's the person you want to marry, and if you're having second thoughts, not cold feet, second thoughts. If there are second thoughts, just don't do it. If it's cold feet, that's one thing, but you know deep down if you have second thoughts and if it's the right thing to do.
Damn, Jay, you just laid it on us again. And as always, that suit and tie, no, well, not suit, shirt and tie, definitely brings out the eyes. I can see past the glasses. I see it all. So here we go. At the end of the day, I'm going to say it like this. For me, there's only 3 love languages that count. Gamer, sexer, and pledge your allegiance to me now, ladies. So with that said, we will leave you be until next time. Please come back. Absolutely. We'll be here. It'd be nice if you were here. Maybe bring a friend, family, friend of me. Hey, bring a stranger. Bring that person who always keeps asking change. Give them a quarter and bring them in here with you. So we'll see you next week, somebodies.
Later.